Do your drums sound thin and weak? Well, in this video, we're going to go through 5 techniques that are going to get your drums punching through the mix and sounding huge. We teach these techniques to our accelerator students who are getting signed to some of the world's biggest labels and supported by the world's biggest DJs. So if you're interested in achieving that with your music, check out the link below. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to my friend Mert, who's going to take you through these 5 drum mixing techniques.
Hey everyone, this is Mert, and as always, thank you Will for the introduction. In today's video, we're going to learn 5 tips to make your drums punchier and cut through the mix. Let's go. As you can see, I have a simple drum loop over here that sounds like this. It's very simple, it sounds great, but I want the transients to cut through the mix better. So what I will do is I will use a transient shaper for that, and I'm not going to use a simple transient shaper. I'm going to use the plugin called Spiff by Oak Sound. You can really dive deep into the transient shaping with this plugin, so let me show you how it works. I'm just going to go ahead and group this drums over here and rename it drums like that, so I can control all of these loops in one simple channel. And I'm going to go ahead and drag Spiff to my drum bus. The first thing you will notice when you open this plugin up is this frequency range over here. It is like an EQ, so these bands over here determine which frequencies that you want to boost or cut from this plugin. And also there's this cuts and boost options, so you can cut transients or boost transients as well. And if you look below it, there's this depth knob over here, and this will control the amount of processing on detected transients. And below that there is sensitivity, which we'll talk about later, decay, sharpness, and a low or high filter. Other than that, you don't need to use these sections on the right over here. They are more advanced, but with these controls that I'm gonna show you, you can make huge difference in your drums. So let's make sure the plugin is in the boost mode and the depth is halfway over here so we can hear the effect. And I'm gonna go ahead in the beginning of the loop and I'm just gonna press play. As you can hear, the plugin added some transients in mid-range and upper mid-range because the frequency range is selected over there. But I want this plugin to add some low end to these drums over here because I think the kick sounds a little weak. So I can use Spiff to add low end transients to the drums. For that, I'm gonna go ahead and get this frequency over here in the low section. And also I'm gonna double click on this low cut to disable it. And what I can do is I can press this delta button to hear only what this plugin does. So if I turn on the plugin and click it, we hear the transients that Spiff is adding. So I'm gonna go ahead and get high cut over here so I can hear the kick well. And I can go ahead and boost the depth. So now I can press delta to hear the full drums, so I can really decide how much depth I want in my low band. This is before. This is after. As you can see, kick already sounded better with Spiff, so I'm gonna go ahead and add mid-frequency transients and high-frequency transients as well. What I can do is I can go ahead and remove this high pass over here and move these dots in the frequency area that I want to boost. So if I boost this all the way right, I will boost hi-hat transients. If I boost all the way to the middle, I will boost snare and percussion transients. Because I think this loop lacked half frequencies, I boosted hi-hat transients as well, and now this is how it sounds before and after. As you can see, it's a big difference, especially if you're listening on headphones or studio monitors. So from now on, I can go ahead and adjust this sensitivity and decay over here to really fine-tune my drum transients. So if I play with the sensitivity, as you can see, it acts like a threshold, and the weak signals won't be detected if the sensitivity is around left side. And if you put the sensitivity to all the way to the right, then it will detect all the transients in your drums. Now we can play with the decay to even add more life to the drums. So if you go ahead and turn the decay all the way down, As you can see, spiff only adds a little bit decay to the transients, and if you turn it up, the added transient decay will be longer, like this. So what we can do is we can turn off this delta button to hear all the drums and play around with the decay to find the perfect balance. So let's go ahead and make a before and after. As you can see, it's a huge difference and it will make your drums cut through the mix way more powerful. I use this technique all the time in my drum bass, and once you try this, I know this plugin will be a big game changer for you as well. Tip number 2, enhance your drum's fullness by using clippers like standard clip or free clip as parallel distortion. So let's go ahead and add the clippers to the tracks. So I will just go ahead and add standard clip by Star Audio Tools to my drum group over here. And as you can see, the plugin is actually very simple. You only need to focus on this clip knob over here and the soft clip saturator, which is here. You can imagine that clippers are actually very heavy limiters. They limit the audio signal with a brick wall limiter. So this way, any signal above the limiter will get distorted. What I can do with standard clip is I can go ahead and adjust this clip knob over here. As you can see, the more I reduce the clip, the more distortion it gets. I'll just go ahead and try to find the sweet spot for this signal. Also, I can go ahead and add saturator from here. As you can see, this graph shows how much it's clipping the audio signal, so we can see how much audio clipping we are making. I like the settings, so let's go ahead and make before and after. As you can hear, if you're listening on headphones or studio monitors, it adds a little bit saturation and distortion to the drums and make it sound a little more fuller. Standard Clip is a paid plugin, and if you want a free plugin, there's this plugin called Free Clip by Van Audio. It is over here. Let me just drag it into my drum bus and disable standard clip. It's basically the same concept, the buttons are a little bit different. All we need to do is we need to just go ahead and play with this clip ceiling over here. As you can see, this clip ceiling over here does the exact same thing in standard clips clip gain, like this. Also in Van Audio Free Clip, we have some distortion options, like this. I usually go with hard because I like how it sounds like. And for me, standard clip is actually better sounding plugin, and I use standard clip in my productions for clipping purposes. Especially if you're making bass heavy music, clippers are really game changing. So let me show you how it sounds like in trap drums. These are my trap drums and they sound like this. Now I'll just go ahead and add standard clip, and I will just play with the saturator and clip knob over here to really add some fullness to the drums. So this is before and after. As you can see, if you group your 808s and drums in one single group, then after you add standard clip and adjust the saturator and clip knobs, the sound gets much more fuller, and I use this plugin especially in my bass heavy productions all the time. Tip number 3, make your drum sound larger than life by applying the Haas effect. You might be asking, what is Haas effect? So let me explain. I added this new hats over here in my drum group. So to make the Haas effect possible, we need to duplicate this channel And in second channel, we need to delay this a little bit to the right or left, it doesn't really matter. Then we need to pan the first channel to the left side and second channel to the right side. This way you trick your ears and your brain will think this sound is more stereo than it is. Let's go ahead and solo these hats and play them. As you can see, they sound super wide, and this was how it sounded before and after. It's a huge difference, and you might be asking, I don't want to do this process all the time for every specific channel. Don't worry about anything. I will show you 2 different plugins that will make you achieve Haas effect. So let's take our hats back to normal. This is the original hats. So what you can do is, if you are on Ableton, you can go ahead and add the delay plugin in Ableton and adjust this dry and wet to 100%. Make this delay ping pong. Also remove the filter like this. Also you need to click this sync button to adjust the times of each side. Then you can go ahead and click this link button and sync again to adjust the right side and the left side with time. And in left side you want it to be 1 like this. So since the left side is 1 millisecond, I will go ahead and add 15 milliseconds to the right side, and also I will just drop the feedback all the way down. So this is how it sounds like right now. Let's turn this off and on. As you can see, achieving Haas effect is very simple in Ableton. If you're not using Ableton or don't want to use this delay plugin, there's a really simple plugin for Haas effect as well, which is Haas by Kilohertz. I will just go ahead and search it, and it is this one. And it is, as you can see, very tiny and very simple. So I will just close the delay. You can just adjust the delay with left and right channels over here, and you can select which channel is going to be delayed. As you can see, they both do the exact same thing, but I prefer to use this Haas plugin because I think it looks way more simpler. So let's go ahead and try this Haas effect on different elements in the drums as well. There's this top loop in our drums. Let's add the Haas effect and play around with the delay. This is before and after. A little difference over there. As you can see, we have this tone loop over here, sounds like this. We can go ahead and add the Haas effect, and it sounds way more wider. So this is before all the Haas effects. And this is after all the Haas effects. As you can see, a huge difference in stereo field, but just remember, using Haas effect in every channel can ruin your mono mixes. We don't want everything to be wide as possible because we need contrast in our tracks, so some elements needs to be in the middle and some elements needs to be in the wide side of the spectrum. Tip number 4, achieve a wide and impactful sound by using 2 different similar hats or snares, panning them left and right. Let's say you want to make your hi-hats wider and bigger. What you can do is you can select the main hi-hat, and after that you need to search for a really similar hat for that main hi-hat. Then you can pan one of them left and one of them right to make the hat sound way more bigger. So let me show you. As you can see, we already had this hat over here, and I added this second hat which sounds similar to the first hat, and it sounds something like this. So as you can see, the first hat and the second hat sounds really similar. So what I can do is I can go ahead and pan the first hat left and second hat right. And if I solo them, we will hear a little misbalance in volume. So let me just go ahead and try to balance the volumes of each hat. So right signal and the left signal will sound similar. As you can see, now the head sounds wider than before. So here is how it sounds like in the drum loop. As you can see, they sound way much better. And if we go ahead and duplicate this channel and pan this to the center and turn off this heads over here, this is how it sounded before. And now this is how it sounds after. This is an alternative to Haas effect. Actually, I like this method better because Haas effect can sometimes cause problems in your mono mix, and this is way more safer to go with. Also, let's try this example in claps as well. So this is the first clap that I added. And here is the second clap that sounds similar to the first clap. First clap. Second clap. As you can see, they sound very similar, so when we pan one left and the other one right, it will sound really wide. Let's go ahead and make it like that, and hear it how it sounds like. As you can see, now we have a huge clap that sounds really wide. You just need to balance the volumes. After that, you will be good to go with a huge, big sound. Tip number 5. Create a stereo sounding and fuller kick by combining stomps with your kicks. This technique is especially very good in trap and bass heavy productions. So let's go ahead and take a look at the drum loop that I made. As you can hear, it sounds cool, but I think it's missing some stomps. And if you're asking what are stomps, stomps are basically kick layers. They will help you make your kick sound stereo and bigger. So for this loop, I found a stomp and it sounds like this. As you can see, it almost sounds like a reverbed kick, and this will really help with your kicks to make them bigger. Let's go ahead and duplicate this stomp to our kick, so it will play every time the kick plays as well. And without any mixing, it sounds like this. Obviously it's too much, so I'm gonna just go ahead and adjust the volume. And maybe add an EQ to cut the low end. As you can see, our kick sounds bigger and stereo right now, so this is how it sounds like before and after. That made a big difference in our kick, and now it sounds way more bigger.
Now, thanks to Mert, and I'm sure you'll agree that those techniques are super powerful, but if you don't understand the fundamentals of mixing, you're just as likely to make your mix worse. With that in mind, don't worry, because there are 14 things that I've learned over the years that have completely changed the game every time I've implemented them, allowing me to go from a struggling bedroom producer to making a living from something I love. So if you want to see these 14 game-changing mixing techniques, check that video out there, but if you enjoyed this one, please give it a like, let us know in the comments which technique you're going to try first, and consider subscribing to the channel. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you over at that next video.